We're so glad that so many of you are joining us tonight. My name is Becca Allen, Associate Director of Undergraduate Admission here at BC. We've seen many of you already at both our January and April webinars. And once again, we want to congratulate all of you on your admission through the National College Match through QuestBridge. We wanted to come together tonight to introduce our colleagues in the advising office here at BC, who will talk about the resources and support you'll receive as you head into orientation this summer and once you get to campus this fall. Some housekeeping for you to be aware of. Please know that the Q&A will be active for the full presentation. My colleagues Katie Fong and Amy Chung from the admission office will be responding to questions, as well as some of our colleagues from advising. Just so you all know, this session is being recorded so that you can reference it at a later time. We've disabled the chat, so please ask your questions through the Q&A. And with that, I'd like to introduce you all to my colleague, Joseph Deschak, Associate Dean and Director of Academic Advising. Thanks so much to you all.
Thanks, Becca. It's a treat and a joy to be one of the first to welcome you to Boston College officially. Just yesterday, we graduated the class of 2024, and so we are now officially ready to welcome the class of 2028. As Becca said, my name is Joe Deschak, and I'm the Freshman Academic Dean of the Morrissey College of Arts and Sciences. And so many of you will be starting in the Morrissey College of Arts and Sciences, yet some of you may also be in the Lynch School of Education, the Cannell School of Nursing, or the School of Management. But whatever those schools that you're in, this is the right webinar for you to be on. And we're going to answer some very general questions for you as you embark on your BC journey. At the outset, I just want to say to take a deep breath and relax. Starting at Boston College can be overwhelming. Starting at any college can be. But the good news is that BC is a place that is prepared and equipped to welcome and support you along the way. Over the summer, you're going to receive quite a bit of information from us. And so while we're going to go over some important things this evening, don't panic if your specific question or worry or concern isn't answered, or if you have one in the coming days or weeks. It's really important to celebrate your accomplishments at high school at this time, and to celebrate the summer, and to relax and to read what you want to read. But in the meantime, we thought it would be important to share some just kind of general information here from Boston. So my role as the freshman class dean of the Morrissey College is to help support you during your first year. I also have the pleasure of working in the Academic Advising Center, and you'll be meeting with a number of my colleagues this evening who will go over some specifics that will be important to know as we journey through this together. And so again, at the outset, relax, know that you're in good hands, and we officially look forward to welcoming you on the Heights during orientation. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Rebecca Schmitz.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Rebecca Schmitz. I'm the Associate Director of the Academic Advising Center. Welcome to BC, and we look forward to seeing you on the Heights. I'm going to help answer questions, but I'm going to let Helen and Kristen take over and give you.
All right, hi everybody. My name is Helen Ha. I am one of the assistant directors here in the Academic Advising Center, and Kristen and I wanted to do a little intro of who we are. I'm going into my 15th year at Boston College, but I grew up in the Los Angeles area in California and did my undergrad and grad work there. I went to UC Irvine for my undergraduate degree, and one of the resources while I was in college that was really helpful was the Writing Center. I loved writing in high school, and it was one of my strong suits. But I think as I transitioned to college, it was really helpful to have a center that could help me kind of work on my writing and to have my writing be ready for college level courses, and just writing for college, I think was a little bit different. And so that was one resource that really helped me during my time at Boston College. And then I'm going to now turn it over to Kristen.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kristen Reed. I'm an assistant director in the Academic Advising Center as well. This is my 10th year at Boston College, including my undergraduate degree here. And let's see, one of the resources that I found incredibly helpful for me during my undergraduate years was a BC-specific mentoring program called the Mays mentoring program, and I think it's still active at BC, but I found building relationships with professors was a very key resource to me in navigating college. I'm going to spend a little time giving you a roadmap for our presentation this evening. We've done our welcome and introductions. I'll go over the overview for your Boston College degree, and then Helen will take you through the university core curriculum, as well as what to expect at summer orientation. And then we'll close out with some tips for a successful summer orientation, as well as a successful start in the fall. And then, as Dean Deschek mentioned, this presentation is centered on the Morrissey College of Arts and Sciences, but we will have the contacts for CSOM, CSON, and Lynch School up at the end of the presentation as well, and then open it up for more Q&A. Before we jump into the content of today's presentation, we thought it would be really helpful to go over some academic advising terms that you may be slightly familiar with or may not be familiar with yet, including academic dean, which you met yours this evening, Dean Deschek, but each school has an academic dean for first years, and then your dean typically oversees academic standing and progress. Summer advisor, you'll learn a little bit more about later when we talk about summer orientation, but your summer orientation advisor is a faculty member that's also known as a professor. So faculty member and professor are exchangeable. Your advisor will be your primary resource for course selection and registration this summer. Eagle Apps is a term to describe the software platform that students use to search and register for courses. You'll get real familiar with Eagle Apps this summer. There's lots of tutorials on how to use Eagle Apps that will be really, really helpful if you go over them before summer registration and orientation. Core curriculum, that is a term that applies across Boston College. There's one university core for all schools. The course is a set of courses that all students are required to take. The caveat is that for Morrissey College of Arts and Sciences students, MCAS students, the core does include a language requirement. Next, we have a degree audit. We won't get into too much detail about a degree audit in this presentation, but it's good to know, or good for you to know, that a degree audit is a report that lists your core, major, and minor requirements and any progress you have made, and you'll start to get familiar with your degree audit in the fall semester primarily. And then there's office hours. So building relationships with professors will be a key resource to you during college. And so office hours, which is a set time where students can meet with their professors to ask questions, discuss topics, and get one-on-one support, will truly, truly be important to attend. And usually a professor lets you know about their office hours in their syllabi or during the first couple of weeks of classes. Okay, now for an overview of your Boston College degree and your degree requirements. For all Boston College students, to graduate, you must complete at least 120 degree credits. For Morrissey College students, so MCAS students, 96 of those credits must be in MCAS. You need to complete one major to graduate. We like to call this out because a lot of students can do multiple majors, so a second major, a minor, or multiple minors, but to graduate, you only need one major to graduate. So the 120 degree credits that I mentioned earlier are broken down into major buckets. One bucket is the core curriculum, which is about 45 credits, and Helen will walk you through that shortly. Then there's your major, and that's typically 30 or more credits. A major can go up to 60 credits, but it's at least 30 credits typically. For Morrissey College students, there's a foreign language requirement that uses up at least up to 12 credits. And then there's free electives, and up to 24 credits are courses that you may take in anything that you want to take. They can be in Morrissey, but they could also be in CSOM, Lynch School, or the nursing school, pending that school's approval. So there's courses that you need for the core, courses that you need for your major. There's foreign language requirements, again, for Morrissey students. And then there's free elective courses. Sometimes those electives can be used to be taken for a minor, but sometimes they can just be taken for courses that you're interested in. So your time at BC will be broken down into 8 semesters of full-time study typically. And to graduate on time, students should take approximately 15 credits each semester, which usually breaks down into 5 courses per semester because most courses at Boston College are around 3 credits each. So that breaks down into 8 semesters times 15 credits would equal your 120 degree credit requirement. And again, that 120 degree credits is for all BC students. To give that a little bit more color and context, this is what a sample schedule could look like for a first-year student. We have first-year writing seminar, which is 3 credits. You see a few more 3-credit courses on there, but you also see a few 4-credit courses. Typically, when a course is 4 credits, there's usually a lab or a discussion involved. But as you can see from the sample schedule, this student would end up with 17 credits, which is a couple more than the 15 credits that I just mentioned, but still a good example of a sample schedule that a student can take. And will still have you on track to complete your credits by the end of your time at BC. For Morrissey College students, here is a listing of a lot of the majors that are offered through MCAS. We recommend that students take a look at if you're not a Morrissey student, you can look on your school's webpage to see a listing of the majors that your school offers. If you're an MCAS student, then it's great to take a look at the majors, look at the different web pages for each major. They usually do a really great job of breaking down what each major has to offer. So if you're undecided or undeclared, or you just want to explore, using this time to look at some of the majors and go through them is a great way to start to discern what your academic path might be here at Boston College. We have a QR code here that you can scan, or you could go to bc.edu/AAC, and we have a breakdown of the majors there. Okay, a quick snapshot of what I just covered. All Boston College students need 120 credits to graduate. For MCAS students, you need 96 of those credits must be in MCAS or through MCAS. And then that typically breaks down to about 15 credits per semester to stay on track. But as we saw with our sample schedule, it could sometimes be more.
Thanks, Kristen. I am going to talk a little bit about the core curriculum. And so regardless of what school you will be enrolling in for this coming fall, all students will be completing what's called the university core. And so I'm going to give just a brief snapshot. We're not going to go into like the little details. We're going to save that for when you're here on campus for orientation. But I wanted to give you all just a general idea of what the core looks like here at BC. So really quickly, so all students in all of our schools will be completing 1 writing core, 1 class in literature, 1 mathematics class, 1 arts core, 2 history classes, 2 philosophy core. It's typically a full year, so it's a 1-year class, 2 social science, 2 natural science, and 2 theology, and there's 2 separate buckets of course that you'll need to take, 1 in Christian theology and 1 in sacred texts and traditions, and then 1 cultural diversity core. You don't need to memorize any of this. We will walk you through it this summer. And then as you can see for Morrissey College students, there is a language requirement as part of your university core. Some of you may fulfill core requirements with qualifying scores in AP IB exams. And so we'll talk a little bit more about that in a later slide. But just overall, outside of your major or minor requirements, this is the core curriculum. I think one thing I want to add is that the core is, one of the best things in terms of figuring out how you're going to fulfill your core requirements is to use it as a way to explore, so to really think about, what fields am I interested in? What was I, what were some topics or subjects that I really loved in high school? Or what were some subjects that maybe I was interested in but didn't get a chance to explore? So we really encourage you to use the university core as a way to explore a variety of disciplines and fields, especially in your first and second year at Boston College. We're going to introduce a couple of special courses that are offered specifically at BC. And again, all of these will go into a little bit more detail in the summer, but we want to give you a snapshot and give you a sneak preview. Our Enduring Questions and Complex Problems courses are probably one of our most popular. They're only for first-year students, and so you can only take them in your freshman year. You can take them in the fall and the spring if you'd like. They are 6-credit classes and are interdisciplinary, which means that there's two different departments that are kind of joining together and tackling either a question or solving a problem. And so it's a really, and the topics change every semester. And it's a really cool way to kind of explore a variety of disciplines and how they maybe merge and connect. Pulse is a full year class. The next couple of examples are full year classes. Pulse is a full year class that fulfills all of your philosophy and your theology core. The really neat part about Pulse is that there is a service component. And so students who are enrolled in the Pulse course, it's a 6-credit class, and they'll also have I think it's a 10-hour service component during the week. So each student will be matched with a local organization and kind of be doing active service during that every week. And so it's a wonderful kind of opportunity to be out in, the city of Boston or our surrounding community, and to kind of connect that to what you're learning in the classroom. And then we have a couple of different courses in perspectives. They'll fulfill the philosophy core, and then sometimes a combination of either the theology core or art or literature or natural science. So there's a lot of different kind of combinations, but the perspectives courses are full year courses. And are also very popular with our students. Applications of Learning Theory is also a class, a 3-credit class that is offered to kind of give you an ability to an opportunity to figure out how you want to navigate your college life and your academics, and as you're transitioning to this kind of new rhythm. And so that's a wonderful class to consider as well. And all of these courses are open to all students in all of our schools. And specifically for Morrissey College students, we wanted to highlight that we have a couple of courses that are designated advising sections. What that means is that the course, the instructor for the course for Morrissey College students, the instructor for the course will also serve as your academic advisor for your freshman year. And so that's a wonderful way to get to know your advisor. You'll be seeing them multiple times a week because you'll be in class. And so that's kind of a wonderful way to build that relationship. So we have Courage to Know first year topic seminars for and select sections of first year writing seminar and perspectives. These courses are also open to non-Morrissey College students. It's just the advising section piece. The advising piece is only tied to our Morrissey College students, if that makes sense. Just a quick snapshot of some of our courses. And then for MCAS students, we did want to touch a little bit on the language requirements. So all Morrissey College students are, they must demonstrate intermediate level proficiency. And there's a couple different ways that you could fulfill the language requirement. One is taking courses here at Boston College up to intermediate level 2. So that would mean you would take, if you start with elementary 1, which is the very beginning level, you'll do elementary 1 and 2, and then intermediate 1 and 2. So that's 4 semesters. If you place into a different level, you might have a little bit less in terms of how many semesters you have of that specific language. If you are taking Chinese or Arabic, you have a practicum requirement. So instead of it being a 3-credit class, it'll be a 6-credit class. And so for students who are taking Chinese and Arabic, they only need to get up to elementary level 2 to satisfy the language requirement. You could also fulfill the language requirement with qualifying AP score. And so there's a full list, and you'll have access to that to see if your AP exam score qualifies and will fulfill the language requirement. And then the next two is native proficiency, or if you're a heritage speaker. And so if English is not your first language, we have a website here that you can take a look to see like where you fall if English is not your first language, or if you speak another language at home in addition to English. And so you can demonstrate proficiency at the academic intermediate level. And so that means that you have to test successfully in speaking, writing, listening, comprehension, and grammar. And so all the details on how to do that and the list of scores and all of that is available on this website here. It's bc.edu/MCAS freshman. And so you can go in there to check and see kind of where you might be in the language requirement process. I know we talked a little bit about AP IB qualifying scores. If you took an AP IB or other accepted exams, you might want to check the academic advanced placement page to see if your score would fulfill either a core, major, or minor requirement. If you do fulfill any of those requirements, it'll show up on your degree audit, which is what Kristen mentioned earlier, saying that yes, you fulfilled this requirement, but it does not count towards your 120 credits required for graduation. But what that means is now you have some credits free for you to do some more exploring, or potentially consider a minor, or look at taking some free electives. And so it kind of frees up space for your schedule. Students with at least, this is a common question, students with at least like 30 AP/IB credits could apply for advanced standing, which means that you would graduate in 3 years. So that's an option if you're looking into that. And one huge thing is that I know some of you haven't taken your APs, I think they're coming up. But once you've taken your AP exams, you want to send your test scores to Boston College. They do not get automatically sent to us. And so all of this information is on that website I just mentioned, but our code for College Board is 3083. So you want to make sure that those scores are sent to us so that we are able to review them and post them to your degree audit, make sure that they count. And then we wanted to give you just a brief overview of what summer orientation looks like. So you'll be here for the 3 days. You'll arrive Sunday, but for us, you'll be meeting with the advising team from each of the schools on Monday and Tuesday. So I'm going to go over a little bit about what that looks like, and then give you some tips on how you can prepare for that time. So for all schools on Monday and Tuesday, on Monday, you'll be meeting with your summer advisor, like Kristen mentioned earlier, to go over specific degree requirements, especially for this different schools, talk a little bit about your academic interests, and really start the course registration process. What that means that you'll be reviewing courses and putting courses into what we call a registration plan. So it's just a holding place to kind of do some research, put some courses that you're interested in into your plan in Eagle Apps. And then you'll be using your laptop and kind of in different classrooms to be doing this part of the process. Then on Tuesday morning, we'll have 3 different rotations, and you are randomly put into a rotation. And each rotation will come in and register for courses. And so that's when you'll be registering for courses with your advisor next to you. We'll have resource tables available if you have any questions about placement or specific courses or what level you should be taking, etc. All of that will be available for you in person in Lyons Hall on Tuesday morning. And so registration is all happening Tuesday morning for all schools. And so for both Monday and Tuesday, you will need to bring a laptop and charger with you. If you need to borrow a laptop from our team from BC, please let FYE know. That's first year experience. Let them know, and we'll make sure that we have one ready for you when you arrive on Monday for our advising sessions. Then through Wednesday and Friday, you'll be back home. And so at that point, you can take a look at your schedule. And if you want to make some changes, you totally can. You have until 3 p.m. on that Friday of your orientation week to make changes to your schedule. After 3 p.m. on Friday, your schedule will be locked until August 1. And then once August 1 rolls around, your schedule will be unlocked again. You can continue to make some changes. So this is just like an overview of what to expect when you arrive on campus for orientation this summer in just a few weeks. And so I'm going to give you some quick tips on how to prepare for orientation. Like, what can you do to be prepared for this? You know, it's a lot. It's 3 days. It's jam-packed. It's going to be there's going to be a lot happening. So I think the more you can do in advance to prepare, I think sometimes it can be just easier to navigate those 3 days. One of the big things is we have Eagle Labs tutorials online. They're really short, like 1 minute on like, how do you register for a class? How do you put a course in your plan? I think it's really helpful for you to watch some of these tutorials before you arrive for orientation, just so it's familiar. We'll be with you. You'll have someone with you to help you with registration, but just so that it's not, you know, orientation is not the first time you're seeing Eagle Labs would be really helpful. I think taking a look at that website we mentioned, it has a ton of information, especially if you're interested in any of those special courses I was mentioning. That's a great place to look, or for language placement, or if you need to take a language placement exam for our Morrissey College students, there's a ton of information on how to take the exam, when to take it, if it's online, or all of that. And so that might be really helpful for you to see. The academic planning workbook for this next academic year, that's also available. You'll get a link. I believe that you'll get sent a copy of that via email as well, but a link to that workbook is also in on that website, bc.edu/MCAS freshman. And I think the biggest piece is to make sure that you are checking your BC email address so that you are not missing anything in terms of getting ready for orientation. So just make sure that you're reading all the email communication from the Office of First Year Experience, who, they oversee all of orientation, but also specifically from your school, so that you're ready and prepared for course registration when you arrive at orientation this summer. And then a few things is, as I mentioned earlier, to send your AP IB scores to BC if you haven't done so already. I think reviewing and researching potential major and minor interests is a great time. Maybe after your graduation is done and all your senior stuff is done and you have a little bit of break time, you can start, kind of doing some research and just exploring and seeing what's out there, so that you can kind of begin that discernment process of figuring out your course of study. I think taking a language exam, language placement exam, if you're a Morrissey College student and you plan to take a language to fulfill your language requirement, I think taking a look to see if you need to take an exam, what that will look like, and making time to do that prior to arriving at orientation. And then lastly, our Eagle Labs course information and schedule is completely open right now. So you can take a look at all of our fall classes and all of our fall course offerings. And so again, when you have some free time and high school is you're done, you can take a look and see what we're offering for the fall, and kind of taking a look at what you might be interested in taking.
So much, Helen. Okay, so we have given you a lot to prep for already for summer orientation. But just to give you a head start on what to also look for once you get here in the fall, here are some tips that we put together. So again, you'll meet a summer advisor in the summer, and they will help you get set up for course registration and your fall schedule. But when you get here in the fall, you'll meet your academic advisor. For MCAS students, that's a pre-major advisor. It works differently for the other schools, so make sure you check in with your advising contact if you're not an MCAS student, to see who your academic advisor will be. But definitely build a relationship with your academic advisor when you get here. They want to get to know you, and they are there as a resource and point of contact to help you get plugged into all of the resources you'll need here on campus. So build a relationship with your academic advisor. Visit drop-in hours during ad drop period. So for MCAS students, and I believe the other schools as well, do host drop-in hours during the ad drop period. But for MCAS students, we in the Academic Advising Center will be hosting drop-in hours for you. So come by Stokes Hall during the ad drop period to get help in making changes to your schedule. There will be peer advisors there as well as the team you met today. And then it's open to everyone. We don't turn anyone away, but it is drop-in hour specifically for MCAS students. And then, so another note, as we were mentioning, is you'll see a theme here, building a relationship with the people you meet here on campus is really important, including your professors. So during that first couple of weeks, go visit your professor's office hours. If you don't have any specific questions, that's okay. Just go and introduce yourself. It's always better to be more than just a name on a roster. Lastly, you can meet with the MCAS advising fellows. So we do have peer advising fellows offered through our office here. You can make one-on-one appointments with your peers. You can build 4-year plans, and you can discuss your major and minor interests for students who have been in your seat and who have planned their journey here at Boston College. So it's a really great resource. So we recommend when you get here, once you get settled in, feel free to make an appointment with the advising fellows. I know we threw a lot of information out at you tonight. We hope that it was really helpful. But if you have any questions, we see that there's a lot of questions coming in through the Q&A, and Rebecca's been answering them for you all. But if you still feel like you need more support after this presentation, feel free to reach out to the contacts listed on the screen. For Morrissey, that's mcasorientation@bc.edu, and then CSUM, CSUN, and Lynch School are all listed on the screen as well. Please reach out to them. Everyone is waiting to help you get adjusted and connected here at Boston College, so use the resources available to you. I also want to remind you of Dean Deschek's message earlier. Take some time to rest this summer and have fun as well. But all of this information is here for you as you prepare to come to Boston College. You know, you've been asking questions throughout the presentation, so we'll also still stay on for a bit to, if you have more questions, or to wrap up the questions that you've put in the Q&A now. Thank you so much for your time this evening. We are really excited to meet you when you get here in the summer and then again in the fall. We hope this presentation has been helpful.
Thanks so much, Kristen, and everyone else. We really appreciate it. We have several questions in the chat that we'd like to get to that I think will be helpful for the greater good of all of you this evening. Question number 1, can we change our major during orientation if a different major better suits your future career? Who would like to take that?
I'm supposed to be doing it. Sorry, I'm coming. Okay, so yes, you can change your major at any point up until and through your sophomore year. You most definitely can change it when you come to orientation. If you want to do it now, you're welcome to email us at mcasorientation@bc.edu, and we can even change it before you come.
Excellent, great. And then there's another question. I took some college credit classes during the summer. Will these transfer to BC? Should I send an official transcript from the college?
Yeah, so admissions might be able to help answer this one, but essentially yes, but we don't take the credits towards your degree. They count as AP credits, advanced placement credits. So what that means is that admissions will evaluate the course to see whether or not it fulfills a requirement that we have here. Like, let's say you took a writing class and you need to do a writing core here. So we would evaluate that, and then we would say, okay, you've fulfilled our version of the writing course requirement with that class that you took from the other college prior to matriculation. But we do not give any credit to courses taken at other institutions prior to starting at BC.
Excellent. And I think we skipped over this one. When do I have to decide on a BA versus BS degree?
Right. So I thought this would just be helpful to distinguish. There's the Bachelor's of Arts and the Bachelor of Science degree. And so almost all of the majors that you're going to choose are either going to fall in one of those two categories. So they're either going to be a BA automatically or be a BS automatically. There are about 4 majors that have both a BA and a BS version. That's biology, computer science, psychology, and math. And you don't need to really make that decision until your sophomore year, as long as you're taking some of the courses that would fulfill those requirements.
Excellent. If I want to learn a language that is not offered at BC, can I still pursue it and take the proficiency test to earn credit?
Right. So the answer is this is not a good idea. So I would encourage you to contact our office. Tell us what language you're interested in. It's a little complicated, but we do have a relationship with some of the other local universities where if there's a language that we don't offer, but another university does, you could take the language through that other university and it would count as part of your regular tuition. But we've had, what I will say is that the #1 reason why BC students don't graduate is because they don't complete their language requirement, because they're trying to find sort of easier ways to get through it or to learn it on their own. And it doesn't always really work out, just because the expectation of how well you learn the language is pretty high.
Excellent. And how do we get access to our BC emails?
Yeah, so that's what I'm not quite clear on the answer to. You should already have access to your BC emails. I believe it's usually in early May. Is it through the admissions portal, Becca or Katie? Does anybody know where that goes out from?
I believe it's through the portal. I'm not sure of the exact process. Maybe Amy or Katie could chime in if they're
Hi,
aware.
everyone. It's actually one of those strange handoffs between admission and all of our wonderful colleagues and campus partners. So you should receive something from Boston College Information Technology that gives you information about your username and your email address. If you've not received something, feel free to send us an email in admission and we can dig into it for you and make sure you can get access to that email.
Excellent. Thank you, Amy. Some great questions here. Will our academic advisors stay the same for all 4 years?
Right. So the answer is no. We have what's called pre-major and major advisors. So part of a big thing of what our office does in the advising center is we assign you to what we call a pre-major advisor, who is a faculty or administrator who will stay your academic advisor through your first year, regardless of whether you've declared your major or not. Okay, so your entire first year, you have the same advisor. Once you declare a major or become a sophomore, you will then be assigned a faculty member in the department of your major. That sometimes that may be the same person who was your pre-major advisor, or they may be in the department in which you major, and you may want to ask if they'll continue to be your advisor.
Excellent. If I got accepted into MCAS, but I want to possibly major in CSUM, what application would I have to complete?
Okay, so this is CSUM doesn't have an application. What they do is they have a lottery at the end of your first year. It's a very limited number of students who are accepted. So you have to have a minimum GPA, I believe, of like it's a 3.2 or a 3.4. I'm not exactly correct or sure. But you would sign up for the lottery, and if your name gets drawn, you get in. But again, they usually only take 8 to 10 students a year. So it's better to think about how you might, do a minor through CSUM as a backup.
And as a follow-up question, if we were interested in double majoring or minoring in something, how would we go about that?
So you want to talk to your advisor about whether or not that's a good idea. Definitely, we're sort of, especially with double majoring, like we want you to have the full college experience of a liberal arts degree. And so we would encourage you to only do one major and a minor or two if you really, have your heart set on something. But one of the things Kristen mentioned earlier is that we have our undergraduate advising fellows who are really great at sitting down with students and helping you map out what courses you need to take each semester and how for a major and the core and how much space that gives you so that you can kind of see like, do I have room for another major? Do I only have room for a minor? So I think it's a really helpful tool that you should consider doing, once you come to campus in the fall.
Excellent. Thanks so much. It looks like we've gone through all the questions in the chat. We do want to be mindful of your time this evening. We have time for maybe one or two more questions if you, oh, they're coming in now. Here we go. I received an email invitation into Canvas for Spanish placement test. Am I supposed to take this placement test on my own, or do I need to worry, or do I not need to worry about it for now?
Now, if you plan to take Spanish as your language requirement, then you should take it now. You can take it anytime before you come to orientation, but you want to know before you come to orientation where you place.
Is there a limit to how many minors we can do?
3 is the limit. Not many people do that though, I should say.
As BC is also a research institution, would I be able to propose my research idea in freshman year, or do I need to first work under a professor? Is it possible to apply for research in freshman year?
It's challenging. There are work study positions where sometimes there's a faculty member doing research who's looking to hire an undergraduate, so that might be a possibility. We also have what are called undergraduate research fellowship grants, which is something you could apply for in the spring to do your own research over the summer. So a lot of students do that. So there's some ability, and if you're a STEM major trying to get into a lab, that's trickier. But again, there's some ability, it's just more limited.
Excellent. And there's a question about creating an independent major or interdisciplinary program for somebody who is interested in aerospace engineering, but since BC doesn't offer these aerospace engineering, are there other options? And then as a follow-up to that question, questions about cross-registering for courses at other universities in Boston.
Okay. Okay, so the independent major is something that is a potential, but you would have to find a faculty member who has a background in the area that you're looking to study, and you would have to create a plan of at least 10 BC courses that you would be taking in order to, sort of show that you've, achieved the, required objective of like a regular major. So they need to be sort of more introductory, intermediate, and then higher level courses. So it's a very time consuming process. And then it has to go to a faculty committee where they approve it or not. And then I'm sorry, you said that the follow-up question was about cross-registration. Okay, so I would say in the first, right. So in the first semester, you don't typically do that. The one that I will say we just started last year is we do offer American Sign Language to anybody who's interested in taking that, even though it's not listed, and students have cross-registered with Tufts University to take that. There are 2 other languages, Hebrew and Portuguese, that you can cross-register during your first year, but typically you're not going to do that in your fall semester. And then if you do decide to do it again, it has to be a course that we don't offer at BC. And you can look up, if you want to do your own research, if you go to the BC website and just look up the consortium, you'll see the list of the schools.
Excellent. I am interested in studying abroad. Would that affect my credits in graduation?
No, typically any study abroad program you're choosing is going to have the equal either 15 or 16 credits.
I am planning on majoring in management and getting a concentration in finance. Can I get another concentration on top of that?
Okay, so this would be a good question for that CSOM list we put up earlier, and we can put it back up again before we sign off. So CSOM would answer that. I don't believe so. I think it's only one concentration, but that I'm not 100% sure. Right, so if you look by whoever, by your last name, then you can contact the person who's covering your last name.
And there were a couple of questions. We will be sharing this presentation out with all of you as well. But certainly I would snap a photo of this right now because this could be helpful for you in the next couple of weeks. But again, we'll be sure to share a recording of this. Excellent. I think we have a question about starting clubs. Yes, you'll definitely be able to do that. Once school starts, there's the club fair, but you can always get together a group of students. There's over 300 clubs on campus. So more information about that certainly coming at orientation once you get to school. But we would like to wrap it up there and thank my colleagues in both the admission office as well as in the advising offices for all of their help tonight. Hopefully you've learned a lot and we'll be able to take this information with you as you head to orientation in just a couple of weeks. We want to congratulate you all again on both your admission to Boston College, but also on your upcoming graduations from high school. This is an exciting time. There's a lot going on. As a reminder, be on the lookout for the webinar's recording later this month and more communication specifically about QuestBridge and BC. And with that, have a great night.